Hey guys, wanted to continue to talk about narcissism and dismantling narcissism, and wanted to continue to elaborate on foiling a narcissist psychological trap. Okay, and first of all, being able to hear a couple of these little like key phrases they say, the narcissistic phrases they'll use, the the traits, because once you start to analyze that, just a little bit in applying levels to narcissism, once again, you can at least start to acknowledge that some of these people have some problems, and for somebody to say and to think like that, they would have to have some type of marbles loose. But because it's not healthy, and it's not healthy for relationships, and if and in a social environment, it can be severely toxic, and it can spoil and rot a social environment, okay, with these people, the garbage that they start to spew. So wanted to get a little bit into some of the things that you can say that will foil a psychological trap. So if somebody's trying to get the reaction from you, or you this and that, they might ask you, like, what do you think about something, so they can go and spread a rumor or badmouth you. And they're trying to ultimately badmouth you, while maybe bringing themselves up, or go and snitch about something. This and that they can start their own little campaign where they're actually bragging about themselves, and in worlds and places that don't exist, and they'll use this in the word if. Okay, so it's like, yeah, we're not really sitting here, and they really didn't work that hard and do that good of life, but and that could be the situation. But if, and then like they open up and they just paints a fresh new canvas, right? And they can paint in a perfect world, and they're so perfect, and this and that, but at the same time, that's not really going to complete it for them, okay? And that really never really happened, but that's not going to complete them. So in the narcissistic arrogance, they're going to have to cut you down with a negative, okay? They're going to have to spin it negatively, okay? So painting themselves as being so good, this, and trying to take credit. It could be credit for something, any way, shape, or form, but they're talking about themselves, or getting attention by talking about themselves, okay? And then at the same time, they're going to put somebody else down, okay? Put somebody else down, or cut them down, talk about them any way, shape, form, their ethnicity, their size, they're fat, they're ugly, they're stupid. So those are some of the easy ones, that people, they'll try to paint into a negative picture. But seeing this and analyzing it, and then you can maybe start to get away from these people any way, shape, or form, because it's not going to be beneficial to you at all. So one of the things that, once you start to if you were patient enough to try to want to coach this person, if you had a vested in you, maybe you love this person, maybe you wanted to be friends with this person, you might be able to coach them into at least healthy levels of narcissism, where it gets below 5, where it's not they're not bothering anybody else, they're not affecting anybody else, okay? So somebody wanted to be narcissistic and have all these negativity, as long as they're not even verbalizing that, what I'm saying, as long as they're keeping that to themselves, then who cares? It's not any worries of mine. But when they go past 5 and they start to actually take action, and even verbalizing that, to somebody else who had to be present and listen to it, you're affecting somebody else, okay? So but if you were to have the patience to want to coach them, and you might even love this person, so that you may want to be able to coach them back into healthy levels of narcissism by practicing humility and talking to them very plainly about things, and putting people on even playing fields, taking them off their high horse or the pedestal that they may think about. So anyway, so once you start to do this, sometimes it can be dangerous because it can foil and it can set that narcissistic snake chasing its tail in their mind, where they just can get really dangerous. Okay, they could get really dangerous, and they might start doing it times 10, or they might get violent. Okay, because they hate being exposed. They hate, first of all, feeling shame or guilt, feeling some type of remorse or something like this. They'll try to paint themselves as perfect, not wanting to admit to a mistake. Okay, them wanting to admit to a mistake, it's not in them. It's really difficult for them to do. It's really difficult for them to compliment somebody else. Okay, they hate that. Okay, for them to compliment somebody else or talk about somebody else in a positive aspect, they hate it. Okay, the only person they can talk about in a positive aspect is themselves. Okay, they'll talk about themselves in a positive aspect, but not anybody else. Okay, not anybody else that, maybe their friends or family or something, but not anybody else as far as other people's talents being acknowledged. And so some of the things that they can start to do is that, and then if you were to have a real straight up conversation where, you're telling somebody, look, you're being a narcissist by going around bad mouthing everybody else and telling lies, and then making it out like, your stuff don't stink when everybody's stuff stinks. We're all make mistakes, this and that. So it's hard enough just in that, but you're going around trying to badmouth people, calling behind people's backs, telling lies, telling what you think about people, trying to speak for somebody else, saying what you think about somebody in a negative aspect and spinning it all like you're negative, this and that, and then acting like you're so perfect, but then at the same time, here it comes, boom, big mistakes. You start acknowledging or telling other people they make mistakes. All right, so that narcissistic arrogance, once again. But here's one of the other things that they might say once they say that you are a narcissist. They say that it's narcissistic to call somebody else a narcissist. Well, it's narcissism to call somebody else a narcissist. That was one of the tailspins of something that was really somebody who is like their feet were stuck in denial. Okay, once they were exposed, they would do any and all lies and nope, not going to admit a mistake at all, not going to admit a wrong at all, not even going to flitch, and then accusing somebody else of what they were guilty of. So that was a reoccurring type of issue, with people that had some really deep psychological problems that go beyond any type of healthy relationship. They were only trying to harm people. Okay, only trying to harm people in a negative way. There was nothing positive going to even come from being around them it any bit. Okay, they weren't doing anything worthwhile, anything positive, with their lives and with their actions. They were only trying to harm people. Okay, so they actually said, or somebody would say that it's narcissistic. It's narcissism to call somebody else a narcissist. Okay, is what they said. And so, which didn't really, makes sense, if I start to analyze it. You know what I mean? It was just like a quick comeback. Once again, I guess they were just buying time and to be a, to make a lighthearted kind of excuse. And then once again, they can still stay in that denial state, and then they put somebody else on. They're accusing somebody else, and they want to be the accuser. They want to be the prosecutor of making accusations and making these and it could be false. Who cares? They want to be the accuser. Okay, and so if you're being accused, you have to in most cases start to defend yourself or start to tell the truth. So but they just bought a little time, and okay, and anyway, so that was just in one of the little comebacks that they would have, I guess. Is narcissistic to call somebody else a narcissist. Okay, and that might just be like when you're like really, maybe a more aggressive, or telling somebody that what it was, that but you start to see that they really had their brakes like locked on. They're not even going to admit to being imperfect in any way, shape, or form, or ever even committing a sin. Okay, so that's when that you're really dealing with somebody that has some screws loose. So we've all made mistakes. We've all sinned, maybe trying to bring them back down, and it's okay to do that, but you're affecting me this way, in this negative way, and it's not healthy for if you just stay to yourself or keep those thoughts, but they're probably not going to do that, and that's not going to really get them off. So also wanted to continue to talk about some things that do get them off. Okay, so they hate admitting mistakes. They hate being called a narcissist. They hate when their psychological trap is exposed. They hate there's a few other things that they cannot stand. They can't stand to compliment somebody else. They cannot stand to compliment somebody else. Okay, that was just something it's not in them. Okay, talk about somebody else's achievements. It's something that makes them furious. Okay, and you think that talking about somebody else's achievements or personal best that they did, or that seems like it would be something that would be positive and nice and this and that, but a narcissist cannot stand it. Okay, and once again, they have to come through these realizations where their own self-ego is going to have to be sifted down, and coming off to that pedestal, wherever that they're going to have a realization, that they weren't so great, they weren't so awesome, they whatever they, and how highly they think of themselves, because in their mind they're actually thinking that they're above you in some way, shape, or form, and that it's okay to just jack with people and play these psychological games, and tear apart lives, tear apart friendships, tear apart families. Okay, tear apart little small parts of society, where you could have had groups of friends, you could have had groups of families, you could have had people trying to get along, but you have a couple little weasels that are cracking up because they got attention for a short period of time. And so talking about some things that they really like. Okay, so that's things they hate. Things that they like is hearing their name. Okay, they love that. If a narcissist hears their name, man, that's better than sex to them. Okay. A narcissist hearing their own name is better than sex to them. Okay, that gets them off psychological, and especially if they were to set a psychological trap where they were able to piss somebody off enough that they actually verbalized their name and said their name. That's going to just be money for them. Okay. There's nothing better than that, than them hearing their own name, them actually making somebody so mad or something that they actually said their own name. Okay, so when their psychological game and trap is exposed, and if you say their name, upon them being psychological demented, with their demented psychological just off, mentally off in so many different ways. Their actions, it could just be describing their actions. Sometimes they, they're gonna really get off on hearing their name, but they're gonna hate that the trap was exposed. But if their name comes up, it's like that's just gonna make them have like a psychological orgasm. Okay, that's gonna probably be the best thing that they could ever happen to them. Okay, so so exposing these traps and stuff like this, you don't want to say their name. All right, don't say their name. Okay, it's only gonna end up getting them off, and they'll spin it and flip things different ways, and not taking accountability for their actions, which they were never taught to take accountability for their actions. Okay, they were never taught accountability for their actions. Okay, so accountability for your actions was like, it's a standard that society should have to live by, and I had to live by it, you had to live by it, we all had to live by it. But yet for some reason it's okay, because they're thinking of themselves on a higher and as everybody else, to treat everybody else like garbage and trash. Okay, so it's okay to play these psychological games and mess with everybody else because they think that they're above you. Okay, they think of themselves as being elite, and you're a lower class, you're a subhuman, you're below them in some type of totem pole or hierarchy or something that's imagined in their mind and imagined. But that, so you don't want to say their name. Okay, so saying their name is going to psychologically really get them off, but then at the same time they can, it's just going to be something else for them to spin or to snitch about. Okay, and then when they're gaslighting or trying to they can go in and start to badmouth somebody else, and then so I've seen some I'm gonna wrap this one up here, but you don't want to, so that's the things they hate. Once again, the things that they hate, psychological traps, being exposed, just any way, shape, or form, unwinding the little traps that they set, just but also at the same time, things that they love is really just hearing their name. Okay, them taking false credit for something else that they didn't do. That could be. I'm gonna do some more here in a minute, but I'm gonna wrap this one up here. So yeah, you don't want to say these folks' names because they're like, they got some screws loose.